live. I'm reading Graham Greene's novel The Comedians, which was published in 1966. It is about three men. They're the comedians, or he calls them so. It's Mr. Smith, the presidential candidate, one time, long time ago. The Mr. Jones, who was calling himself Major Jones, and Mr. Brown, who's telling this story and who owns a hotel in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And Mr. Jones has been arrested. He's barely arrived in Port-au-Prince, and he's in prison, and Mr. Smith wants to help him to get out of prison. This now here is chapter, is it 4 or 5? I think it's chapter 5. And I'm through Roman 1, but I finished it because I thought it was a very long chapter. In fact, it isn't even that long. This will be very short. The telephone doesn't work. He struck my wife. It's not the first time, dear, she said. And he only pushed me. Remember, at Nashville? It was worse at Nashville. It was different at Nashville, he replied, and there were tears in his voice. He had loved people for their color, and he had been betrayed more deeply than are those who hate. He added, I'm sorry, dear, if I used expressions. He took her arm, and Madame Philippot and I followed them up the drive. The Duponts were sitting on the veranda with a little boy, and all three were eating vanilla ices with chocolate sauce. Their top hats stood beside them like expensive ashtrays. I told them the hearse is safe. They only broke the glass. Vandals, Monsieur Hercule said, and Monsieur Clement touched him with a soothing undertaker's hand. Madame Philippot was quite calm now, and without tears. She sat down by her child and aided him with the ice cream. The past was past, and here, beside her, was the future. He had the feeling that when the time came, in however many years, he would not be allowed to forget. She spoke only once before she left in the taxi which Joseph fetched for her. One day someone will find a silver bullet. The Duponts, for want of a taxi, left in their own hearse, and I was almost alone. I was alone with Joseph. Mr. Smith had taken Mrs. Smith to the John Barrymore suite to lie down. He fussed over her, and she let him have his way. I said to Joseph, what good to them is a dead man in a coffin? Were they afraid that people might have laid flowers on his grave? It seems unlikely. He wasn't a bad man, but he wasn't all that good either. The water pumps for the shanty town were never finished. I suppose some of the money went into his pocket. The people, they're very frightened, Joseph said. When they know, they frightened the president take their bodies too when they die. Why care? There's nothing left, and it is but our skin and bone. And why would the president need dead bodies anyway? The people are very ignorant, Joseph said. They think the president keep Dr. Philippot in the cellar in the palace and make him work all night. The president is big voodoo man. Baron Samedi. Ignorant people say yes. So nobody will attack him at night with all the zombies there to protect him. They are better than guards, better than the Tonton Macoute. Tonton Macoute zombies too. So ignorant, people say. But what do you believe, Joseph? I be ignorant man, sir, Joseph said. I went upstairs to the John Barrymore suite, and I wondered, while I climbed, where they would dump the body. There were plenty of unfinished diggings, and no one would notice one smell the more in Port-au-Prince. I knocked on the door, and Mrs. Smith said, "Come in." Mr. Smith had lit a small portable paraffin stove on the chest of drawers and was boiling some water. Beside it was a cup and saucer and a cardboard marked Yestrel. He said, "I have persuaded Mrs. Smith for once not to take her Barmine. Yestrel is more soothing." There was a large photograph of John Barrymore on the wall, looking down his nose with more than his usual phony, aristocratic disdain. Mrs. Smith lay on the bed. "How are you, Mrs. Smith?" "Perfectly all right," she said with decision. "Her face is quite unmarked," Mr. Smith told me with relief. "I keep on telling you he only pushed me." "One doesn't push a woman." "I don't think he even realized I was a woman. I was, well, sort of assaulting him, I must admit." "You are a brave woman, Mrs. Smith," I said. "Nonsense. I can see through a pair of cheap sunglasses." "She has the heart of a tigress when roused," Mr. Smith said, stirring the Yestrel. "How are you going to deal with the incident in your article?" I asked him. "I have been considering very carefully," Mr. Smith said. He took a spoonful of Yestrel to see whether it was the right temperature. I think 1 more minute, dear. It's a little too hot still. Oh yes, the article. I would be dishonest, I think, to admit the incident altogether. And yet, we can hardly expect readers to see the affair in proper perspective. Mrs. Smith is much loved and respected in Wisconsin. But even there you will find people who are prepared to use a story like this to inflame passions over the color question. They would never mention the white police officer in Nashville, Mrs. Smith said. He gave me a black eye. So taking all things into consideration, Mr. Smith said, I decided to tear the article up. People at home will just have to wait for news of us. That's all. Perhaps later, in a lecture, I might mention the incident when Mrs. Smith is safely by my side to prove that it wasn't very serious. He took another spoonful of Yestrel. It's cool enough now, dear, I think. So this was the end of Roman 1 of chapter 5, and I continue with Roman 2 soonest. Today is the 20th of September.